for me to start, they ought to be identified by His Excellency the President, and thankfully he first heard about me when I was a finance officer in the Presidential Guard Brigade then, when we had some of our colleagues, the soldiers, had been taken out of training prematurely because of the war that was in northern Uganda, the last phase of the Konye War. So there was a training that was going on at Kasset, the training school of now the Special Forces Command. Again, I was a finance officer. I am born again, and I got saved when I was in senior 2, and therefore I chose never to touch anything that is not mine, and it's what has kept me going. Whatever happens around me, I will always walk with my head high, because I don't touch what does not belong to me. So when the recruits then were taken to join the war, and His Excellency the President, our Commander-in-Chief, was in the north, there was some money that was meant to feed them. So what I did was to ensure that I take back this money to the headquarters, because the trainees had been taken to fight, and there was food for those that were in the war. So I didn't have a car that time. There was no official car for me. I was a junior officer. So I got, it was 18 million, I remember. So I put it in my small bag. I ordered a taxi on my small salary. I took the money back. I got my receipt from the Directorate of Finance at the headquarters then. It was still in Bongo, not yet. It wasn't as big as it is now. And I came back a very happy small girl saying, yes, the money that was not meant for mixing up in other activities or to be diverted in any way, I've taken it back to where it belongs. So someone thought that the money was still with me. So I was summoned at some stage to bring the money for some other activities. And I pulled out the receipt. I said, I took back the money because the recruits are no longer with us. The recruits are now they are now in the war zone. And it caused a big meeting because nobody believed that I could take back the money without either asking or they were like, the money was meant for the unit. Who asked? So I was actually in a mix that time. I didn't know whether I had committed a mistake because I hadn't consulted. After all the leaders were in the north. So what I did, I said, for me, I'm not going to keep money that is not mine, and the recruits are not here. I'm taking back the money where it belongs. So it was a radical decision that made me feel a bit confused whether I had done the right thing, but what kept me going was that the money that was not meant for other people was taken back to where it was got. So there was a meeting, a big meeting, where I was now introduced as the only soldier who can use her own transport in a taxi, carry 18 million. That time it was like maybe billions, because that was 2002. So it was a lot of money. The recruits were many. So then I was now promoted. I was promoted and made, I think I was in charge of we were called OC bills, officer in charge of bills. So I was made to head the Directorate of Finance, and from that time, I started gaining confidence to say no to where it deserved. If I knew that this is not your money, I will not give it to you. Yes, you're my boss, I will salute, because that one is a must. I salute my bosses, but I don't allow them to take what is not theirs as long as I'm in charge. As long as I'm in charge, I'll give you your salute, I'll give you your respect, but you will not take away what is not yours when I'm in charge. Therefore, when we started started towards the campaign of, no, it was not it. 2013 is when His Excellency the President called me and reminded me of how he got to know about me, how I had caused some confusion in the leadership when they believed they were still in charge of some money, but money had already gone, and the smaller person had not even consulted. So anyway, His Excellency the President prefers to work with people who will say no to corruption at any level, telling your bosses, no, this does not belong to you, politely, respectfully, but ensuring that what you have been given to be in charge of is well kept and goes to the right place. So he put me in charge of his office, and that was a challenge. It's another long story which I will not go in, but I got the opportunity of dealing with all government officials at all levels, and I started identifying how hard fighting corruption is, but what we need to keep doing is to say no to the corrupt, no matter their status. As long as you are given an office, please take charge and use your mandate to say no to corruption. The distinguished staff of Uganda Management Institute, ladies and gentlemen, and the entire community of Uganda Management Institute, let me start by thanking the head of the Anti-Corruption Studies Center of UMI, Dr. Adrian, who invited me personally, and I'm so grateful that the leadership and management of Uganda Management Institute accepted me to be on the board of the Anti-Corruption Studies Center of the great UMI. Again, I feel very, very honored, and thank you very much, Director General Dr. James Carter, for allowing and involving us in understanding how systems are built. What is our experience as a country in combating corruption? It is what I would like to speak about using my own practical experience. The fight against corruption has to be a desire that a person has. Really, it has to be in you to first of all choose that you're going to be fought as you fight. Because fighting corruption is an assignment that you have to choose to do, not because you want to be paid, but because you want to make a contribution that is much needed by everyone at all ages. So Uganda developed the National Anti-Corruption Strategy in the year 1998 to provide the legal architecture for confronting the level of corruption that continues to cause a lot of moral decadence. The sixth cycle of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy focuses on, among others, renewing collaboration efforts with non-state actors and citizens. I'm therefore delighted to recognize Uganda Management Institute as one of the solid partners in academia in the war against corruption. UMI, we find you very, very key in fighting corruption because of your morals, and DG, thank you very much for enlightening us, and myself in particular, on the 12 elements that have made you an institution of a difference in this country. We are again very, very grateful. The implementation of the National Anti-Corruption Strategy has yielded the following. Coordination that is working with different institutions to step up the level of coordination and integration of ethical values in school curriculums. Number two, it has increased complaints and conviction rates in courts of law. So complaints that are reported in the anti-corruption agencies, that is the Inspectorate of Government, the State House Anti-Corruption Unit, the Directorate of Ethics and Integrity, complaints have increased, but also the conviction rates in the anti-corruption court continue to be high. I noted with concern that the conviction rate reduced a little, I think in the last year, but clearly the anti-corruption court has a higher conviction rate than other courts. And we know that that came as a result of the national anti-corruption strategy. The other results that came out of the anti-corruption strategy of government is the enactment of enabling anti-corruption legal framework that include the Public Prosecution and Disposal of Assets Act, that's the PPDA Act. Then there is the Leadership Code Act, the Whistleblowers Protection Act of 2010, the Anti-Money Laundering Act of 2012. They were all enacted as a result of that anti-corruption strategy of government. There is also improved public financial management systems, thereby because there is introduction of M7'S, which I believe that you use because of your openness at the Uganda Management Institute and your transparency in all that you do. We know that you embrace every good element that promotes the fight against corruption. The public dialogues were also as a result of the government anti-corruption strategy. So the anti-corruption agencies interacted with public through barazas, media. The media fraternity does a lot of work in exposing the corrupt, also in exposing the corrupt, and I'll speak about that much more. I will tell you that out of experience, the corrupt fear exposure that courts. The corrupt do not want to be exposed in public, and so when you're fighting corruption, please involve the media because it's the only way the corrupt will be exposed. Can I be heard still? Yes. 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 Thank you very much. So exposure is key in the fight against corruption. When you're fighting the corrupt and you don't show the people, when you're fighting corruption and you don't expose what they have done, who they connived with, and where they affected or where they committed the crime, the corrupt will defeat you because you will not have support from either sides. Definitely you don't expect support from those that are. But it's okay, I think we still can hear you. Where I see some food, I don't think yes. This microphone, why did you misbehave when it was with the director? I think it was its own. It has been held by a stranger. But of course, Dr. James Ngata has every technique. He has a lot of test my ability, maybe to handle it. So I was talking about exposure, and I insist that we need to evolve the positive media fraternity, because again, when you have negative publicity about negative publicity about what has been stolen, for example, or what has gone wrong, they may turn the story against the one fighting that corrupt. They may turn the story to be against the fighter of corruption. So thankfully, we have people in the media fraternity who are ready to be part and parcel of the fight against corruption. They are there very willing to expose the corrupt and also to build hope in the public. Because if you don't expose what is going wrong, the public will continue to lose confidence, and government will lose trust in the public. So we need to show the public what is being done to fight this vice of corruption. So thankfully, among the strategies that were in the government anti-corruption strategies was involving the media in the fight against corruption. The other point that we draw from the government strategy in the fight against corruption was training of community mentors. Training of community mentors, where the fight against corruption now involves the religious leaders, the cultural leaders, and training at all levels. Again, thank you very much, the leadership and the community of Uganda Management Institute, to choose to have a fully-fledged anti-corruption center at this great institution of Uganda. Let me talk about the cost of corruption. Corruption is a cancer, not only in Uganda, but in societies all over the world, and therefore it is a moral issue. It is a moral issue because there is no country that is free of corruption. It is in human beings, and therefore we need to fight it with a lot of integrity ourselves. Those of us who were given an opportunity to officially be involved in the fight against corruption, because you would want to fight corruption, but if you are not fully equipped, or if you're not mandated to do it, you may do it, but do it at some levels, maybe in your home, where we all have to start fighting the corruption from. Since charity begins at home, we have to start fighting corruption from our own homes before we go out to make our contribution in public. And how do you involve yourself, or how do you fight corruption as an individual? The first one is to be an example yourself, to ensure that there is no finger pointing at you as you point at others. So you therefore have to ensure that all you do is cleaning up your home and yourself as an individual before you go out to fight corruption, because fighting corruption can be very costly if you don't have the moral authority to fight it. Corruption deprives households of the means to emancipate themselves from the shackles of poverty. It deters investment and thereby undermining our economic growth and development as a country. Corruption has kept people in poverty because what is meant for the society ends up in the hands of those that are supposed to distribute or deliver it. Therefore, that's why I am saying that if we are to fight corruption, we have to make a choice of living a life that is going to be an example for others. Thank you very much for being very transparent in allocation of resources at Uganda Management Institute, because that's where the problem is. The corruption definitely hurts a citizen more, because those citizens that don't have any mandate or don't have any platform to condemn the corruption, or don't have even the ability or the credentials to stand up and refute and refuse and speak out, they suffer more. Therefore, the Uganda Management Institute, since you are meant to empower government by producing people of a difference, ensuring that those working in government that have gone through this institution are there to make a very positive contribution in the fight against corruption, in handling resources and the people. You are a great institution that we are all supposed to be proud of, and we are here to say that any contribution that we can make, we shall give it wholeheartedly. My appeal to move, or my proposed way forward, allow me to call it that way. The offensive corruption, we all must attack it with determination that we are going to make a difference in our country, because it is our responsibility as good-willed citizens to attack this vice of corruption from all sides. Again, starting in our homes, those of you that have this big platform of the Uganda Management Institute that builds capacity in government, let us attack this vice from every corner that we can reach. But also speak out, because words go much more than where our feet can step. So let's speak out against corruption or against the corrupt. Let's expose them, let's fight them. The challenge is therefore to move from the strategy to action. So we have had the government strategies in the fight against corruption, all the institutions that are here. Therefore, I appeal to you that we now move from strategy and go to action. Now, me as a soldier, I believe in ensuring that what you have touched has produced tangible results. So, Madam IGG, don't, now that you have that big mandate, even by the IT Act, ensure that whoever is corrupt, don't fear them. Give them their respect, but deny them. Deny them. It isn't a chance. Don't allow them to steal. We need this. These are. I have 3 points to share with you as I conclude how I think we can together fight corruption. Number 1 is to use collective action, collective efforts. First and foremost,